Welcome to Gatherings of Wild Imaginings. I'm Kirsty from Rogue Theatre and I'm a visual artist. I work with Rogue to transform wild spaces and create installations that lead wanderers into wild story worlds. Inspired by Rogue's story, The Hedge-Witch School of Wild Survival, today we're going to get a bit witchy with some witchcrafts. This is something that everybody can take part in, but some might need help from a grown-up. Now what you need for this challenge is you need to collect yourself together lots of different types of natural forms. So when you're out and about in wild spaces, you need to collect together lots of different types of sticks. Things like pine cones are great as well. Certain leaves will be great for making your witch with. And then have a little look around at home as well, because things like bits of fabric as well will be great when you come to actually decorate the body of your witch. Now then, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to make a basic kind of armature, and from there you can then decide on whether you want to add kind of lots of natural forms to it, or like I said, you could add bits of fabric as well. So when you're looking around for your sticks, make sure you try and find quite interesting ones. So say for instance this one here, you can already see that we've got the shapes of the legs ready, and when it comes to looking for things like an arm shape as well, you want to make sure that, you know, they might be a little bit bent, because then it sort of animates, it's going to animate your witch a little bit more when you fasten them together. Now this is where you're probably going to need help from somebody else, because this bit is quite fiddly. So once you've found your kind of basic body and leg shape and your arm shape, you're going to attach them together using string. And this is where you can have a really good practice at trying your different knots. All I do is I just tend to keep wrapping it over and wrapping the string around until eventually you should find that it should start staying where you want it to. And then if you tie a knot in it, or a couple of knots, because you need to make sure that it's quite strong on this one, you can see, I'll just cut that off there, that I've got a basic body and arm shape all ready to go. Now then, what you need to then think about is the head, and this is where things like pine cones will be great. If you can't find pine cones though, you could add things like leaves or other sticks to make hair, and kind of have a really think about how you can creatively use other materials. So what you need, again, is a pine cone. Now it's best if the pine cones are open, because when you come to put the string in it, you can actually hold the string and attach it inside, so you can see it's already a lot sturdier. And then all you do is you then just tie it onto your body shape, and again just keep wrapping it round until eventually it should be tight enough to tie at the back. And again, this can be quite fiddly, so you probably need to take a little bit longer doing it. So what you should have now is your basic body shape and a basic head shape. And now this is where you can start thinking about how you're going to decorate it. So this is where things like bunches of sticks, if you tied them together, you could start making things like a skirt or a dress or some robes for your witch. Things like ivy is great. Now, as I said about leaves, certain leaves will be really good to use. Other leaves, if you do start picking them off trees, they do wilt. So what you want to try and do is find leaves that have already kind of dried up, and then you'll find that they'll actually keep their shape a lot better afterwards. And again, you could make things like robes and capes out of these. And again, ivy's great, because even when it does dry up, it does still kind of stay in shape a little bit more. So I've done some examples. This was one where I used a little bit of a mixture of all sorts. So I used a little bit of ivy, used some sticks on there, even made a witch's hat out of a leaf, tied a bit of fabric round as well to decorate. This one here, again, I used quite a bit of fabric on this one. So what I did, I actually made a little robe and a little sort of cape for my witch. And again, I've added things like bits of raffia in here as well, just to make it a little bit more interesting. This one here, I just used pretty much all leaves. So kind of made a little bit more of a headdress. And the good thing about this as well, I've actually attached leaves to the end of the arms as well, so it makes it look like my witch has got hands too. And again, just tied lots and lots of different natural forms onto there. Another thing you can do, you can also start making larger witches as well. So again, with this one, again, this is just a mixture of lots of different sticks together. Made a little witch's hat out of some fabric, and then added some little strips of fabric onto the robes too. Now, once you've made your witch, you then need to start thinking about how you're going to make a broomstick. So again, just very simple broomstick. It's just a big bunch of sticks together like this, tied together. And then if you add another stick onto the end of here, you end up with a very basic shape. Now, other good things that you can do with your broomstick is you could, as I did on this one, again, added a little bit of kind of raffia. You could add things like dried leaves onto it. Again, adding bits of material, bits of fabric, and practicing all my knots. This one here, I decided to add a little bit of ivy onto it as well. And again, even when this dries out, it should still hold in shape quite well. And also, again, like I said, you can actually make larger ones too. So you can actually make them as a really good feature piece as well. And again, on here, just adding different types of string, different types of fabric onto it. Now then, this is where you can have a little bit, think about where you're going to hang it. It could go in the garden, it could go in the house, it could go in the window. You could make a whole kind of display, a whole installation of witches. What I did with this one, we used a lot of frames in the woods because number one, frames up your work, makes it look amazing, but also it kind of holds things into place quite well. So this is just a really old frame, and all I've done is I've tied my witch and a broomstick onto it, and that means I can easily then just hang it up wherever I want to, whether it's in the garden or whether it's in the window. Now then, we'd love to see your creations and invite you to share your images of your witchcrafts in the comments beneath this post. Now keep your eyes peeled for future stories and activities here, and we hope to see you soon, either in the woods or at another Gatherings of Wild Imaginings. Thank you.